Want to make your own gelatin plate at home? It's easier than you think. With just a few simple ingredients, you can make one that actually works. I'll show you.
First, we're going to get a bowl or tub to loosen up those gelatin sheets before we're going to use them. If you use gelatin powder, you can skip this step because this is just for sheets. The end result for your gelatin plate will be exactly the same. So I have no preference, this was just easier for me to get hold of. I add some cold water and let it sit for about 5 or 10 minutes so it has time to get a bit chewy and gooey. And now you see it's slightly gooey right now. So I'm going to get my mixing bowl and I want to put the gelatin in there. So I'm going to squeeze the water out, but I don't mind if there's still some water attached to it because we're going to add water later on anyway. And this is the point when you use gelatin powder. You add the gelatin powder to your mixing bowl. Now I'm going to get my measuring cups and I'm going to add about 125 milliliters of boiling water. That's about the same as 4 ounces or half a cup of boiling water. And immediately you see the gelatin dissolve a bit more. Now we're going to get the glycerin. For the glycerin, we're going to get a smaller cup. We need about 60 milliliters. That's about 2 ounces or 1/4 of a cup. And we're going to add that to our mixing bowl. And then we're going to add alcohol. We can add like the 70% or 98%. It doesn't really matter. I'm just going to get the 70 because that one was ready open. So I decided to take that one. And we need about 100 milliliters. That's a bit more than 3 ounces and a bit less than half a cup. And add that to our mixture. And you don't have to be too precise. I just want to finish the bottle here, so that's why maybe I poured a little bit more, but that's totally fine as long as you keep the measurements for like a guideline. And when everything is in there, you can stir it up so everything gets mixed well and you get the gelatin lumps out. Because if you get lumps in there, you will get lumps in your plate and you don't want them. Then you can pour it in your tub. Don't take one like this because it has like a bubble at the bottom, and that's going to be your surface. This is a flat surface, so that's a far better one. Or you take one that you just that has one, but you can sand it off with sanding paper so you get a nice and smooth surface on your gelatin plate. Well, I'm going to take the round one because you don't need to have squared, you don't need to have rectangle. Round is so much fun as well. I put in here just a little bit too much. Usually you put in there, you get a thickness for about 1 centimeter or like 1/2 inch. And now I'm going to pick the bubbles because the bubbles will get to be lumps in the surface as well. So you can leave some of them in, but take most of them out, like I do here with a fork, but you can also use a toothpick. And now we have to set this for a few hours, at least 7 or 8, and I think this is better to let it sit overnight. Like here you see when you didn't mix the gelatin well enough, you get those lumps and bumps in there. You can use them for a fun effect, but I don't like working with those because they get unpredictable. So if I want to make new gelatin plates of them, I can. The only thing that I have to do is get a tub or a bowl and just rip it apart. So get little pieces that I can like melt again to make a new gelatin plate again. You can rip it up, but of course you can also take scissors. And it doesn't matter if you use a gelatin plate that is colored because you used it before, or when it gets damaged, you can still just melt it in the microwave. So I'm taking this and I'm putting it in the microwave, and I think I'll set it for about half a minute. You could do more, but I like to take half a minute because I don't want to put it in there too long. It's always easier to add a few seconds extra if I need to when it's done after half a minute. You know, you don't have to do this that often, because if you don't have lumps and bumps, you can use your plate for such a long time. Well, now I'm going to check and see what happened. No, it still didn't dissolve yet, and I need to, because otherwise I get those lumps and bumps again, like I showed you before. And when it's all melted, I'm going to mix them well, and of course I'm going to try to get those bubbles out. Well, now this has been set for about 7 hours, and I want to get it out of the tub, and that's not really easy. So that's why I'm grabbing a palette knife. But you can use anything that is like flat and won't ruin your jelly plate. This is actually really hard to do because I still have some pieces of gelatin stick on the side. So that's why it looks like you get all those ruffled edges. But that's not because I'm ruining the plate. No, that's just because they were stuck on the side when I put it in the tub. And now when the sides are loose, I can just pull it a bit and take it out of the tub. Yeah, and it's not easy to print with those sides, so I'm going to take them off. I'll probably do it with a pair of scissors. Well, now I've taken them off and I can print. I usually take the bottom side because that was on the flat surface, and usually flattest of both, but this one turned out pretty well, so I can actually use the other side too. I'm going to put some paint on there so you can see what happens if you use it as a gelatin plate. Sometimes it will take a few tries before it really works, because it has to like be rolled in for some reason, or at least that's my experience. It doesn't need as much paint as a regular gel plate. I'm going to roll and pull, and I think I'm going to put something on there just to get a nice print. Lovely flower, mandala. And this is just some paper I got from the recycling bin, because you can print on whatever kind of paper you want. And press it so the paint will not only stick to the stencil but also will stick to the paper. And yes, that's the end result. It looks pretty good, but like on a regular gelatin plate, you also have a ghost print. And I'm trying to get that ghost print off with some copy paper. Just regular printer paper. Rub it smoothly. And I'm going to turn around so you can see it, and you can see what it looks like when I use my gelatin plate upside down, because that works too, and see the lovely result. So yeah, it's just a few easy steps, a little bit of patience, and not that much money, you can make your own gelatin plate. And I don't usually clean my plate, but if you want to, you can just take a baby wipe and it's nice and clean. And by the way, if you want to store your plate, just use the tub that you made it in. You can put the lid on, but you don't have to. And otherwise, between 2 paper sheets.
Want to learn more about jelly plate printing? Check out my Skillshare courses. If you want to see more experimenting or creative inspiration, subscribe to this YouTube channel and I'll see you next time.